Well, welcome everybody that might be watching or not. We hit the go live button and we are kind of waiting for some guests. My name is Brian Fretwell. If you're seeing me live here, we're recording it live. We'll have this recorded. This is a podcast series I'm calling Communicate Your Value. And I kind of just put this on live this week, maybe as a way of offsetting my own ADHD. Like this is something I wanted to do. So the best way to do it is that schedule it in there and get it done. So what are we getting done? In 5 years of studying connection and trying to kind of understand why we're so disconnected and what we can do about it, I came up with a framework. And many of you have seen that framework and the questions we ask, having people share stories. And in that entire process, we noticed something really consistent that didn't really jump out to us until last year, even though we were seeing it at the time. See, when you talk about to people about connection, there is this like idea that I already have it, even though we know measurably the other person doesn't have it, right? We can see in how they're integrating in their relationships, how depressed they feel, all of this, so many different metrics. We can see that they're disconnected. And when you then try to teach people about connection or create, if you want to say like workshops on connection, it's like, well, I don't really need connection. What we noticed, however, was what when connection was happening. And this was way back in the early years of the pandemic. We had people jumping on a call with complete strangers, and we would throw them into a breakout room with somebody they hadn't met. And the rule was they could ask the person what went well in the prior week, and for the next 5 or 10 minutes, sometimes longer, they could only ask that person questions, and then it would be the other person's turn. Well, what happened, and the thing that actually got me diving down the rabbit hole for 5 years on connection, is I would jump into those breakout rooms. And these are two strangers that had never met before. And they're just asking this simple question of what went well. And again, this is in the midst of the pandemic during the Black Lives Matter movement, where people were kind of afraid to talk to each other for a lot of different reasons. And what I found in jumping into those breakout rooms were a lot of people crying, a lot of people that in the 5 or 10 minutes of somebody else asking them simply what went well this week, they were breaking down in tears. And I have to tell you, for a lot of years, I had a hard time explaining what was happening in that moment, right? And I always say it was like 50-year-old white guys. So I'm from Idaho. I have an agriculture background. And so when we offered this before I ever had any social media following, we offered this to, this call to anybody that would go. And so we had farmers and people that worked in the agriculture community. So again, older white guys jumping on a phone and crying, talking about what went well the prior week. Well, what we've since discovered is what was so powerful for them to have that emotional reaction is also the thing that we can use to somewhat measure connection, or rather see the importance of connection in our lives. And it's simply the ability to communicate our value. What that means is the ability to ask for what I need, to know what I need. And so that on an emotional level, maybe to be able to communicate what I bring to the table, what are my strengths and how do they fit in to a place, to communicate what's important to me, my purpose, my meaning, my values, and to be able to communicate where I have influence and impact, how I get over challenges, and what challenges I believe that I can confidently face. And since we've kind of made this discovery, we've found that like the real gap in connection is very centered around this idea of like not just whether or not I feel connected. It's if I cannot communicate my value, if I can't tell people, here's what I'm good at, here's what I need, here's what I do, here's why I matter, then the only thing that like we can indicate is connection is, or rather disconnection and loneliness are absolutely happening. because if I can't communicate that, then the ability for others to see that goes down. So what we're going to do on this podcast, and what I want to try to create is a weekly podcast, and why I like the live session is it provides a bit of risk in there. It provides a little excitement maybe, right? But it also provides a chance for you all to see this in real time with real people. We have Bridget here today, Bridget Brown, and Bridget is a friend of mine. She's been a part of this process for a while. She's a coach. She's a trainer of sorts. She helps people with keynotes and speaking. She's helped me in trying to write my next book, even though I've been frustratingly coming back to that. So, but she, when I said, "Oh, we're going to go live," she bravely volunteered. So she's in the back room, and so I'm going to bring her up in a second. But I'm going to explain to you really what we're doing, and that's really like Bridget will come on, and anybody else can come on too. If you see the link, or if you just message, I will send you the link, so you can message. Either on any of the live streams, the YouTube live stream should show up here. I'm on StreamYard, and so I should be able to send you a link. Just reach out. Sorry if I don't see it. You may have to ask a couple of times. So after Bridget's done, I'm happy to chat with other people. But essentially what we're going to do, because the importance of being able to communicate about value is twofold, right? Can I communicate my value? Can I say it in a way that I believe it, in the way that I'm clear about it? That's half of the equation. The other half of the equation is, who am I saying it to? And do I know what they're listening for, what they want to do? Can I communicate? Can I understand their value and mine, and find a way to communicate that then overlaps both? And as we do this live, especially, like, the idea is that, like, I might not get it all right. Like, we're going to have this conversation, and I want to show that, like, even just the act of trying to help somebody communicate their own value is helpful for you, right? The questions we ask, and I'll walk you through the process as we're going it. Like what we've noticed in so many of these conversations we've had, and so many of these Zoom calls we've had with people, is one of the best ways to increase your ability to communicate your own value is to help somebody else do the same. So in a way, this is a little bit selfish, because I get to help Bridget and or whoever jumps on, and you guys get to see the process. But ultimately, because I'm asking the questions, I'm going to be the one that benefits just as much as anyone else. So with that, I'm going to bring Bridget, so I'm not just chattering away. But Bridget.
Yeah. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good. I'm fantastic. I'm great now that you're here. Tell me, if you could, for the group, give me a better introduction of you than I just did.
Yeah. How's the book coming?
Yeah, it get better now. I'm actually into, like, I actually have, like, here's what I'm going to write about. Here's what it looks like, and it's really centered around the what went well call, but it's also really about, discovering that communicating your value was like the thing we were looking for the whole time.
Great. Yeah. We need to talk.
There you go. Yeah, for sure.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bridget Brown, and I am a learning and design professional that specializes in communications training and storytelling. And I'm a master storyteller. I'm currently coaching my 6th TEDx talk. And so I coach people in keynote speeches, and I help people in organizations to communicate interpersonally better with each other and create very conscious cultures whereby people actually want to go to work every day. So that's why Brian's work was appealed to me, because I'm all about clarity and connection. So I've been part of the Brian Fretwell community for a little while now.
Yeah. Well, I want to just kind of mention, because as I hear it, like, your job is, and I think this is just really helpful for people, because your job is helping people communicate, right? And yet I know you've seen this before, and I've certainly seen this, but I think this really, what we're going to showcase here is, like, I can be really good at helping other people communicate, right? but who is the hardest person? And I don't like it's sales and whatever, like who is the hardest person to actually like communicate about, if you will? Right.
It's always ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Telling our own story. Like I help a lot of entrepreneurs figure out what the story is of themselves and their business.
Yeah.
But it's harder for me to do that with what I do.
Why
And
do you think that is? Like I've got a whole lot of brain reasons, right? Right. But like why do you think that is
I
the case?
think that especially when in the case of entrepreneurs, they're coming at it with a whole huge skill set and they have a vision. Sometimes it is because they don't understand their value.
Mm.
I worked with someone recently who um, this is somebody who started out his career after college in the White House
Oh wow.
and,
Yeah, yeah.
and then worked for a major, one of the top 5 consultancies, and then went off to a Fortune 500 and came back to another consultancy. And his whole thing was, well, I don't like to brag. And I was like,
Right.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
You're trying to
And
sell. The only thing you have to sell is you, and you have
yeah.
value because you have this experience.
Yeah, and I think that it's a really good, and I think hopefully like we'll probably address it as we're going, like that need that balance between humility and confidence, right?
Yeah.
That like, how do I communicate? And especially if I'm in a team or if I'm with my clients, and I see this with myself, right? Like that, like how do I know, hey, here's where I can help and here's how, and deliver that in a way that they can hear it, but that doesn't sound like, hey, I can solve all your problems, because I see so much of that, like on social media and different things. Like, here's this, everybody's got the secret solution that solves all your problems in forever. And some of us that are more like practitioners, like I consider myself, like there's some things I can really help people with. But you will never hear me say, like, here's the things that's going to solve all your problems and, like, make you julienne fries at home, like that. It just doesn't calculate. And so having these ways that we can communicate what we do without having to feel like we have to, go over the top and tell everybody they're, going to be a millionaire once they listen to our story or whatever the case might be,
Because
is
I
important.
I can attest to the fact that in the time that I've known Brian, I've never had him create julienne fries in my kitchen.
Fair.
Never.
Yeah, yeah. I don't even know what that is. What is it? Julian is like the cut, right? Like is that the crinkle? We just
Yeah,
call it crinkle fries in Idaho. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. All right. So let's get into it, shall we? Like I want to start with like, yeah, what prompted you to come on? And because like Claire, communicating our value is like broad, we'll try to identify like where we can use this process to hopefully like have kind of get in a like, here is where you're looking to improve, so that we have something to measure sort of at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So what prompted me when I saw your email was I am in the process of tackling my whole sort of worldview around
Mm.
money and around the energy of money. And
Yeah.
it's been a bit of a battle for me. And I'm listening to a book, and the woman who wrote the book, in one part of the book, she wants us to journal on our value. And it struck me that that was different than journaling on what you deserve, journaling around what you're worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's not about good enough. It's not about journaling about the fact that you're enough. It was another side to the multi-sided,
Sure.
whatever we want to call it, ball, because they're all important, knowing that you're enough, knowing that you're worthy, knowing that you deserve things. But this was just another cut at it that was kind of interesting. And it just really caught my ear as I was listening to the book. And then lo and behold, like a matter of days later, Brian sends out this email saying, I want to, talk on my podcast and examine value. What is our value?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll be a guinea pig because I want to figure that out for myself. And I feel like I want to return really quickly, Brian, to what you just said, because before I started talking about that, is the whole thing about, I'm of the mind that humility is not the definition we give humility. Humility is actually, I think, about owning the gifts that you're given. That it's that's what I think it is. So if you're given a gift to be a ballet dancer, a prima ballerina, and you think, well, I don't know if I'll make a living, I'm going to go be an accountant, and you're a terrible accountant. Like, you weren't given the gift of math, you were given the gift of movement. And so embracing that, I think, is the humblest thing to do. That's just my take on that word. And I think we get that word mixed up because people don't want to be braggadocious. But, the universe didn't give you that gift for you to stay quiet and not do anything about it.
Yeah, and I tend to I kind of like that, in as much as, like, when I think about humility, it's like oftentimes in one of the hardest places, not for me to be humble, but for me to actually be on the ownership side of humility, is like, I often tell people, like, I love giving keynotes. I fear getting off of the stage and talking to people one-on-one. Like, it literally I start getting anxiety at the end of a talk because I know it's coming. And one of the thing that gives me anxiety is people are going to come up and say, this was great. And this was, and it's like the compliment, like, overload sometimes, and so the humility part is, I'm being given this thing and acknowledge it. Right. So that, for me, that's been a lot. I've had to work a lot on that, of like, no. Because I used to just like, I used to just like, you kind of shush it away, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, don't, like, I'm not that big a deal or whatever. But what I realized is that I was actually kind of taking from them. Right. And, like, their experience versus like, hey, I'm glad it landed for you. Tell me how it landed for you, and being able to engage that requires that humility. So I like that idea of something being given to you, and then acknowledging it and sort of respecting it. Yeah.
So if you own it, then doesn't that directly go to you owning your value? That's my question.
Yeah. 100%. And that's where, yeah. So I'm going to show you this to maybe direct our conversation. This is something you haven't seen, Bridget. This is new. Now the question is, can I figure out how to get it on the screen? Oops. Let's see. I might not. Let's see.
Can't help you there.
There was a I might not be able to get it on the screen because I don't know. Oh wait, let's see. Slides and PDFs.
It's beautiful, Brian.
Really share gorgeous. Screen. Here we go. Let's see if it's doing it. Yeah, hold on. We're coming. We're getting close to there. Oh no, that's not a. Oh, entire screen. Bam! I got it. Look at that. Is that coming up on the screen? It's not. Oh, okay. I have to do this. Bam! Look at that. And we're cooking with butter. Yeah. This is a live show, folks. Nothing's planned, right? But here, if you can see this, you're familiar with the FIRES model here on the left, Bridget, right?
Yeah.
Some of those in the audience might not be. That's okay. This is a model we use to kind of identify, broadly speaking, just like areas of value, right? So feelings as emotional intelligence, influence. And so when we think about communicating your value, these are sort of the 5 main areas that we think about, right? And I want to start at the bottom because it's a little more straightforward at the bottom. Can I communicate what I do well, my strengths and skills, right? Can I clearly communicate why this matters to me? That's ethics. So that's purpose and values. Can I communicate the challenges I've overcome and my readiness for future ones, right? That's kind of growth mindset and resilience. Can I communicate the ways I take responsibility, I create change, or the things that I own, so to speak? Like, this is like in that agency area. So that's internal locus of control, right? Can I identify what's in my control is really a better way to state that. And then finally, feelings. I can communicate my emotions, but specifically what I need and what I'm looking to create. And so this one is the trickier one because it's the emotional intelligence one, right? Like, but this is like, okay, if I'm going to work on a project, can I articulate to the other person what I need to them from them to feel safe, what I need to be able to, and do I know clearly to be effective at this process, I need to feel focused. I need to feel engaged. I need to feel joyful. I need to feel happy, or I even need to feel, and I think about in here, like for me to get yard work done, sometimes I need to feel a little angry, right? I'm really good. I'm really good with like a little frustration, right? And I share that to say it's not just like, oh, I need everything to be good. It's like, what emotion in there is going to have me operating at my best? And I'm sort of focusing on that one, Bridget, simply because in what you had, in how you had described this relationship with money, my question, what I feel like is that what we can work on is like kind of clarifying so you can communicate what you want to feel around money.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I would say that it's the value. So without getting too deep in the philosophy of money, the point I think that this author was trying to make is that if the more you value yourself, the more you attract good things into your life.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was the word value that intrigued me. And because again, it wasn't worth, it wasn't deserve, it wasn't, you know.
I got you. So I have a. How would you communicate? How would you communicate that value right now? Just so we have a starting point.
Communicate my value.
Or the value, yeah, your value or the value of money in this, like as they overlap. But like, yeah. If when you think about money, how do you communicate your value?
Well, so if I look at my value as just a person, I know I'm a kind person. I'm a caring person. I'm a very empathetic person. And then there's the whole list of the values. There's the list that is me. Of the values that I bring to friendships, relationships, and work relationships. And then there would be sort of this category of the value that I bring to business and to the customers and clients and colleagues that I serve.
So here's where I want to, it's broad, and notice and so we want to kind of be able to tighten it up to give it a focus. And so to do that, because we've used this word value so much, this is where I'm actually going to start. And for those watching, like there's a rule in these discussions, like wherever somebody's going, we have to find out, like, if we want to help somebody get to where they're going. And in this case, like, if we want to be able to communicate, here's where I'm going, we have to start with where they've been, right? Like, I can't decide to go here if I don't feel like I've, been there or been part of that journey before. That's a really quick explanation that I can dive into further later. But with that, the question I want to start with is, Bridget, if you could think through your life, and this doesn't have to be like professionally, even in the last 10 years, but it could be in your whole life. If you had to define the day that you felt the most valuable.
Oh, that's hard. But the thing that actually pops into my head, I don't know if this is good or this is kind of sad. But the day that I won my second award for work that I had done at a Fortune 1000 company I was working at.
Yeah.
They gave out every year, I think it was every year, the CEO, based on recommendations from people leaders, gave out cash awards and recognition to people who had gone above and beyond. And it was a bit of a surprise the first time, but it was a real surprise the second time. And it came with a $1,500 check.
Mm.
Uh,
And on that day, what was the actual moment that you felt most valued?
I think later at the well, now I'm remembering more because this was actually more than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They had laid me off
Oh wow. Okay.
and gave me this award.
Oh
And
wow.
and when my boss got the check, I said to him, "You do understand the irony of this, right?
Mhm.
That I am somehow a prized employee of value." And it was kind of like, don't let the door hit you in the backside.
So what was the moment that
I
you
think
like?
the moment was probably maybe not that particular day, but when we had like an all company meeting and my face was up there as as one of the winners. I think that was
Right.
probably
Yeah. So if you take yourself back into that moment, right? Like if you can like describe to me how that moment felt. Like what did you feel more of in that moment?
I felt what did I feel more of? I felt like I'd done a good job. I felt like I had done my job. I felt like
Hmm.
um this was a big technology project that I was working on. So when it was done, that's why they laid me off because they eliminated my position.
Mm.
But I felt like I had done what they hired me to do,
Mm. Which means
and I
you
had
like
obviously done it really well.
yeah. And what is that? What did you want? What did that say about you?
That I was a good worker, that I was someone people liked, someone people admired, someone people appreciated. So I
What
felt
did
all
you?
those things.
Yeah. What? But why was it that important? Like, what was important about being like getting it done and doing it well? Like, what did you feel like you were really being recognized for?
Effort.
Tell me more about effort.
Uh, the effort and creativity, because this is the thing that no one had that job before me, so I had to create it as I went, and I had to come up with all of these creative things to keep the communication and everything going. So it was about the value of my creativity, the value of my effort, the value of um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd like that. So I want to keep going with that. What did that effort and creativity create for others? How did that effort and creativity like impact others?
Oh, so this particular project was a 2-year, very intense rollout of enterprise-wide software. And there were a lot of people who were putting in 60 to 90-hour weeks. And part of my job was to keep them afloat and
Hmm.
keep them energized. And so I planned parties. I did a luau. I did an ice cream social. I did a whole
So
bunch of things
tell
that
me
help
about
that
t-
just
t-
help people to keep going when the going got tough.
yeah, just like keeping them afloat and keeping them energized. The
Yeah.
type of person that can do that. Why is that so necessary?
Um, that there was backlash within the company about the project and the amount of money that the company was spending on the project and even on some of the things that I did. So my
Hmm.
like $600 or $700 party was being, critiqued, and
Right.
yet it was about morale.
Mm.
Because when you're working 60 hours a week, weeks on end, your morale gets low pretty quick. Um, so that's why. that's part of the reason that I think I won the award, was because I helped to keep people going.
If they don't have that morale, if your effort and creativity isn't helping them stay afloat and have morale and see themselves, what happens?
You start losing people. You start getting people to do, maybe make mistakes, do sloppier work, not care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is like that effort and creativity was about like kind of keeping people alive, at least in terms of like in their jobs, right?
In their jobs, doing their jobs against negative backlash from other people in the company, doing their job against time constraints, deadlines, missing
If
out on
if
certain things in
if
their
if you
family
saw
life.
if you saw somebody else doing this, if you saw somebody else bring that kind of effort and creativity, and you saw that impact of helping keep people afloat, keep the morale high, how would you describe them?
How would I describe them? That's a really good question. The word that comes to mind is fun. I created a
Okay,
lot of
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
My office was always filled with everything from, it was like, if anybody needed candy, they'd come into my office.
Mhm.
I always had candy. One point I had tiki torches in my office
Mhm.
and other, decorations for the luau that I did.
It, if you saw a person like that, how would you communicate? How would you help them communicate their worth? Like, what would you tell them to look at or to like really define what they're worth? If you saw somebody else doing it.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it goes to all the words we've already said, right? Morale, keeping them in their
Mhm.
jobs, fun, like.
Yeah, yeah. Are they? So how would you so you describe the person as fun, right? Would you describe the person as necessary?
I would describe them as necessary. I know there were some other people in the
Yeah.
company who
Okay.
didn't think I
So
was necessary.
lean into that. Why were they necessary?
Why is the person necessary?
Why would that person be necessary?
All the reasons we've said.
Okay. Yep.
All
So
the reasons we've already covered.
tell me in one sentence why they're necessary.
They're necessary to keep people going and keep the project on track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if that doesn't happen, the project dies, right?
The multi-million-dollar project could
Mm.
falter.
Yeah. So in there, put a dollar figure on what that was worth.
Um, well, it was worth more than my salary.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, yeah, because, and also that's not all I did
Yeah.
with that
Mm-hmm.
particular project. I was the change communications person. So I communicated to the whole company, including the China office, about what
Mm-hmm.
was coming and so forth. So, um,
And so when they recognize your worth in that morning, right? In that day, when they
mhm.
recognize that, what was the internal feeling for you?
uh, well, like I said, that I'd done a good job, that
No, that what was the emotion?
the emotion. I was very proud of myself. I was very happy.
Mm,
I was excited.
yeah,
I
like
was really, I was really proud. I really felt like I accomplished something.
yeah. So here now we're gonna kind of pull this all back in. So for those watching, it might seem like we're just kind of like going down this rabbit hole of the trail, and for Bridget, maybe even to a degree too.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask you here to bring it back, because this conversation was about money. When you think about what you need with money. And so I'm going to go into that top layer of the fires, right? Identifying like what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Where does feeling proud and happy?
Well, I think okay, that's kind of a stopper. I mean, for me, I just want to feel relaxed about it.
Yeah.
I have enough. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to ever worry about it.
Yeah. So here's where I'm going to push on you a little bit, challenge you a little bit, right? Like I want to just challenge you to say out loud, like, I want or I deserve to feel proud and happy.
I want and deserve to feel proud and happy. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Attach money to it now.
I want and deserve to feel proud and happy of the money that I make. The buku amount of money I make.
Right.
A large amount.
Yeah. And do you deserve, are you looking to feel proud and happy? And do you feel that you deserve to be proud and happy?
I do.
Okay. So why did you tell me just a second ago you just want to have enough?
There's this thing out there where past a certain point, where your needs are, it's the kind of hierarchy of needs where your needs are taken care of, and the rest is kind of gravy. So
sure. But are you seeking to be proud and happy, or are you seeking just enough?
I'm seeking to be both.
Yeah. So which one are you getting right now?
In some ways I'm getting,
and you don't have to answer that. But is it the proud and happy?
No, I'm not getting the proud and happy.
And so this is a piece where, like, communicating the value, where it kind of gets into this, like where I would encourage the bit of, like, if I'm not telling myself I'm looking for it, then I'm not looking for
it. Okay, let me backtrack on this, because that just confused me a little bit. Again, I feel that I deserve it. That's not a problem.
Do you need it?
Do I need it?
Do you need that feeling that you had and I'll adjust it this way. To be at your highest capacity, do you need that? To be performing at your best, to be feeling your best, do you need that?
Do I need to feel proud and happy?
Yes. To be at your best.
Yes, I would say so.
Yes.
And so the question,
I just want to pause there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Silence.
Why would you want anything else?
I don't want anything else, but I'm going to throw it back at you. Here's how I'm going to throw it back at you. You know me well enough to know that at some point this was going to happen. But I don't have any problem with the deserve, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The question that you are posing, though, is how do I value myself?
Keep going. Yeah.
That is the question.
Yeah. The question is, how do you communicate it?
How do I communicate my value?
Yeah. And in this case, like, how you're communicating your value to yourself. Because what you told me just a little bit ago, and even in the beginning kind of conversation, is like, what I'm communicating is I just need enough to get by. Versus if I'm communicating, I deserve to be proud and happy. I've worked my ass off. I bring this creativity. I bring this fucking effort to be proud and happy. I'm probably going to get kicked off Instagram. My language, folks. Anyway, I deserve to be proud and happy is what I'm pushing against, is which one should you be, like, which one matches what you want to communicate to yourself?
Yeah.
Which one would you tell somebody else to communicate to themselves?
Yeah, obviously the latter.
Yeah,
obviously the latter. But here's the other piece of it, though. Here's the I don't know if it's the flip side of it, but it's the other piece. I do deserve to have enough.
Sure.
Right? Both of those things are true. I deserve to have enough, and I deserve to have more than enough.
Yeah, and if I'm shooting for proud and happy, and if I get enough, I'm probably okay, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if I shoot for enough and I get it,
You could have had
right?
more.
Yeah, enough. And so in this, like that communication piece, like again, in this communicating to ourselves, like there's like it reverberates a little bit. Like there's this unspoken thing we're communicating to ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I can be okay with enough, but if I'm like in my limited, my brain is, in the limited, focus that I have on a daily basis, I can't, I need to just stay, like, you know what I mean? To have that, like that communicate, because then if I'm communicating that to myself, what's the chances I start communicating that to others
Hmm.
and
Yep.
communicating that in my job interview and with my clients?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, little 30-minute journey there.
There you go.
Helpful? Helpful? What do you think?
I'm still missing the word value. So what is
Mm.
my value?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is, and I'll go right back into where we hit. So I use that word, right, to kind of describe all of these. So this is one area, right? This is the like in the feelings piece and emotional intelligence, my value is I deserve, like part of my value is I deserve to feel something,
Hmm.
but I need to know what that is and I need to be clear about it. So if I'm clear about it with myself, then I can then be clear about it with others, right? And then we move into like, okay, now if you have this part of like, okay, now I know I need to, now I'm more clear, I can communicate that, I want to be, I just blanked on the words here. I want to be, what were the words, Bridget?
Responsible. And are you
Yeah.
in influence or are you still up in feelings?
Oh, I'm still up in feelings. The two feelings that we just kind of described, instead of,
Proud and happy.
yes, proud and happy, then part of my value is clarifying what's in my control. Like, what can I do to drive that? Right. And
Hmm.
then part of my value is knowing what I've done to create it before. Part of my value is knowing why it matters. And part of my value is knowing the strengths in there. So what we're doing on here, and we like the in this discussion is breaking down like in this one section of this bigger puzzle. So
Hmm.
because like as we sort of talked about in the beginning, there is not a magic pill in here. But the thing I encourage you to sort of play with, if you will, is like I would write this down, right? And then practice communicating it with others. But using the finding good application too, right? And this could be on your, because I know you have a weekly call with Angela, where you felt, right, proud and happy, like
That's a
once a
good.
week, like sharing that, like where I felt proud and happy, because then I'm looking for it. But then, and even asking them, where did you feel proud and happy? Because that's going to help you see it more as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's a good one to ask. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for being the first guinea pig.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Thoughts or questions about what we did? Or yeah, I know you got to jump here in a little bit, and I'll wrap this up for everybody else. But I want to thank you for going through, and then I'll probably do a little bit of walkthrough of what we did and why, just to wrap this up, because I'll have this video on YouTube and some other places. But just wanted to stop with questions for you or comments before you.
Uh, I don't think I have any questions. I like the way that you framed it at the end, is using each one of these things in the fires model to ask a finding good question.
Mm, yeah.
Um, you know, um, yeah, that's
Yeah, and
it.
I think that piece that you bring up, like this question of what is my value, is really big, right?
Yeah,
And I think hopefully we touched on one spot of it, so I can start to do that. But it's also an ongoing answer, right? What is my value is what I'm good at, what I care about, right? What I bring to the table, and it's also what I need. And I think in this discussion, really like starting with, if I know what I need, then I can start working through like, how have I gotten that in the past? What are the strengths I've used in the past? And those things to really clarify, like, here's the thing I need. I know I deserve it. And here's how I use my skills and everything to get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
thank you, Bridget. That was
You're
awesome.
welcome, Brian.
Yeah. Well, appreciate it. And yeah, you're officially the first guest. So
I'm the guinea pig out of the gate. Thank you to everyone in Instagram land.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, we'll see you later. And for everybody else, that went so much like I wanted it to go. And what I mean by that is like a little, I don't want to say messy, but I really want to dissuade us from thinking like there's some magical solution. But I do want to walk you through kind of what Bridget and I did in there, right? So it would have been easy. And I think what we naturally kind of do in situations like this is like when somebody comes up and they say, I want to know what my value is, or I want to, like they ask for the help or the clarification, we start giving ideas. And what I did in that whole process was, here's what you want. And it's a very simple process. Here's what you want. Where have you had it before? And now the breakdown of the questions, they may seem as you're listening to them, just like I'm kind of pulling them out of left field or thinking as you go. They follow what we call the success map or the value map, right? And that aligns pretty strongly with that FIRES model that you saw earlier, right? So right here, like this idea that, okay, here's the things I need to be able to communicate to be able to have my value fully realized, right? I need to know and communicate how I've gotten over challenge. I need to communicate what I've, what I need and where being at my best is going to feel, which is again what we kind of focused and chatted on today. And so behind each one of these are simple questions, right? Like, where have you felt this before, right? What did you do to feel that? And the resilience, how have you gotten over things like that? The ethics one is like, where did it feel meaningful, or why was that important to you? And the strengths one, like, what skill or strengths did you bring to the table? And so if you think about those, you can probably look back and if you go onto the recording of this, you can go back and see me using those questions, sometimes in the order that we use in the success map and sometimes not. And what communicates the questions is simply me looking for clarity. And if you take one thing away from this, in so much of this podcast, what I want this is this: you can watch this process so that you can go and help other people communicate their value more clearly, whether that's a team member of yours or a family member or a friend, and do it in a way that isn't just like, hey, you have this, or try to say this, but in a way that helps you understand them more clearly, that helps you get some clarity on, if you will, their story, which is really what we did with Bridget in that conversation, was go in and say, where if you want to feel value, where have you felt valued? And let's get some clarity in there, because like, if that's the place where sort of the spark lies of, I felt valuable here. Well, what was it? What did that look like? What did you do to create it? And what happens in the other person's brain is they start, as Bridget even said, like, oh, it's been a while, but more things are coming to me, more things are coming to me. And those are sort of anchor points that we can use to say, oh, this is what you're actually looking for. Right. And can you communicate that? Right. And that works with all of them. Like, you ask somebody about what skill they use to overcome this, and they'll initially say something like, well, I don't know, I just did it, or I always do it. And then they'll start coming up with, oh, I use this strength, or I use this ability. And now that that's clear, they can start communicating, when I'm doing this challenge, here's a strength or skill that I use. And that's where we begin to feel more connected. We feel it in the process of having the conversation, of just somebody being interested in us. We might have that sense of connection, but when we're able to then communicate it, when we're able to then bring it and share it with others, that's when we can kind of solidify that becomes really powerful for people. As we had talked about at the beginning, right? It can be a very emotional thing to be able to say, here's what I care about, here's what I do. And And we saw it even in the what went well conversations with somebody saying, they would share something like, I got to spend 10 more minutes with my kid. And what they're identifying is what they value, right? The things, and so they're showing you their value, right? And when we do that, and we do that in a place that people accept it, that people find value in it, well, that's where that emotional response comes. I've got 5 or 10 more minutes. I'll just do a request once, and then I'll probably jump off the live. But if anybody wants to come onto the StreamYard and join, I'll just keep this up for just a moment or so. If somebody wants to do that, I don't know if you can click on there or not, or you can mention in the comments somewhere. And I can send you a link, but happy to answer any questions, but also take anybody else through that process. What I hope to do is this process once a week. And if you're watching it currently, if you're watching the rebroadcast that will be available on YouTube, probably directly after this, is there a different time you'd like? You can put that in there. But if you would like to be a guest, just reach out. You can email me at brian@findinggood.com, or you can, reach me on Instagram or LinkedIn and ask to be a guest. I want to try to have a scheduled guest each week. For now, I'm going to do this Friday at noons because that seems to work the best. That's noon Mountain Time. So we'll be trying this next Friday at, as they say, the same bat time, the same bat channel. So put it on your calendar, and I'll do a better job of creating a calendar so you can join. I enjoyed this. This is what I'm, the idea of being able to do this in real time for people allows us to give people these skills and abilities and ideas before they even have to, invest in a training or anything like that. Because I think this is one of the most critically important things we can do in this time, is help each other see each other's value, to be able to communicate the things that are important to us and have somebody help somebody communicate what's important to them in a way that allows us to leave the situation closer, more connected. I think we struggle in our current politics and in all of the divisiveness of communicating our value to each other in a way that doesn't just put each other away, that isn't driving in the divisiveness. And while we use this process in schools, in leadership, and in coaching, and in a lot of other professional organizations, I really encourage you to think about how you're communicating your value to somebody you don't know, and more importantly, maybe even somebody you don't agree with, and how you're creating a platform that they can communicate theirs. Because when we're able to more confidently and comfortably communicate our value in a humble, in an authentic way, not in a bragging, not in trying to convince somebody, not in trying to push an idea, but in the root of the underlying values and things that are important and meaningful and how we want to feel, we tend to find overlap. We tend to find we're more alike than we are different. And whatever challenge we have individually or collectively, the reality is we're not going to get through it. We're not going to get over it without connection, without each other, and without community. And so the more tools we can have of building that, the better. I hope this tool helps you do that a little bit more, and hope you join next week so we can see it play out in different ways. Thanks again. My name is Brian Fretwell, and I'll be back next week.